Here we go.
So we're gonna go over here, and as you can see, there's two
Okay, so you got your film,
Yes.
right? Which you have clean and dried.
Yes.
It has to be dry. You have anti-static micro fiber cloth, the mount, and then this guy, which is a little air poofer. All right. And the nice thing about this is like, well, Andrew, like I have one built in, right? But this has a bunch of moisture and stuff in it. This doesn't. All right.
So before you mount your film onto here, these are overexposed pieces of film, so I can't really tell you exactly. Oh, actually, yeah, okay, so this side is
Shiny.
the shiny side. And so when you're mounting your film, you have to make sure that you have that shiny side facing towards, I believe, this direction, like facing down
Right.
and in.
And in reverse, because that's why
Yes.
those numbers are
In reverse.
backwards and weird.
So you always want to check at the top and the bottom of the strip of film. There's going to be letters and numbers telling you exactly what type of film you have. So if that's going in the right, like the left to right reading, then that means that you have to flip the film that you have and slot it in, right? So when you're placing it in here, there are going to be these little pieces of like almost like notches to place these on top of. And when you're sliding the film in, there's going to be these little placeholders for that film where you slide the film underneath. So I'm going to slide that in and make sure that it's under these notches. Can everybody see that? No? I'm gonna pass it around if you guys want to look at it even further. So it's like these tiny little notches that hold the film in place, and it's essentially just to keep your film flat once you place that other thing on top, because it's a possibility of crinkling your film or even damaging it permanently. So yeah.
So, and it has this little like, I mean, it's like batteries on your remote, right? It has this little door that goes in, and then it kind of snaps shut.
Yeah, so then it snaps shut. I want to show them
Sure.
where it like slides in. So there's going to be these little notches that hold your film in place, and you're going to start sliding from this direction.
Okay.
Right? And you're going to make sure that the glossy side is facing down. Just use this to get rid of any dust, because when you take your film out of your sleeve, you're going to see a bunch of dust, and the second you start like trying to put it in, obviously dust just starts naturally falling even if you don't realize. So you're just going to dust that down on this side, and you're going to do that for both sides, but once you place the other portion, you're going to flip it over and clean the glossy side of the film. So you're going to be very meticulous with this. You want to try and get it as best as you possibly can. Obviously it's never going to be 100% perfect, but it is really important for you to try your best with it. So then I'm going to hold down gently on one side. In your guys' case, I would try and find an empty spot of your film where there's no photos, and if not, just place your fingers on these little ribbed edges where there's holes on either side of your film to just wipe it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that down as much as I can.
It also kind of helps remove some of the static in the
Yes.
film, because those little plastic sleeves are great at keeping your film organized, visible, and semi-clean, but they also attract a lot of dust.
So once I do that, I'm going to place this, once I have all of my film placed into each slot. You can also, one thing to note, if you have a small extra bit of film, you can fit it, because this fits a total of 6, and we cut 5 interval strips. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to place this on top and make sure it clicks into all of the places on the sheet. And on the other side, you're going to see there's a bunch of like even this like neon piece of like
Yeah.
dust is there.
Yep.
And you can also double check if all of the placement is in. So over here, obviously it's not in, so you just click it in. So you're gonna flip it over onto the glossy side, and you're gonna do the same thing that you did with the matte side. And it's gonna be a little bit easier on this side because it's already within the frame, so you don't have to touch the film, you can just touch the plastic frame on either side. So then you're going to use the frictionless cloth once you're done with blowing all of the dust off and do essentially the same thing. You're not gonna put too much pressure onto the film because you don't want to crinkle the film or ruin it in any way. So you're just gonna like go back and forth as much as you can, and you can always hold it up so you can see a reflection of the film to see if you have any smudges. So right now I don't really see any smudges on the film or much of the dust, so that would be ready to use.
Here we go.
So we're gonna go over here, and as you can see there's two triangles on this end, and there's also two triangles here. So that means I'm just going to slide this into this direction, and on this side there's these little holes that go into these little holes over here. So it kind of locks the tray in place and makes sure that it doesn't go anywhere since it's elevated, and you have to close it down.
So one of the other places that can get dusty is
At this point, you're going to see that I'm touching that top white piece. That needs to get removed so that you can scan the negative. Everything else that I'm talking about right now and closing it like that is wrong.
All right, so now when you load up the computer and you log in with your campus key, we have InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, Lightroom. You can use Lightroom, you can use Photoshop. Personally, I've been trained on Photoshop. Lightroom is pretty cool. I don't have anything against Lightroom, but I know Photoshop better, and if you have problems, I can help you in Photoshop faster. Chances are you're using Photoshop in your design-based courses. Chances are, if you're not a designer, you're working with designers who are using Photoshop. So that's kind of my default. All right, these are the apps. We've got Epson, the utility for calibrating it, and then this other one with a check mark. Olivia says don't be fooled by the check mark, so we're gonna use this one. All right, we're gonna click it. All right, so here's the settings that we have, and it's already set up for the monitor. Default setting.
Yet again, I thought I knew what I was talking about. You need to make sure that your setting is all set for scanning a black and white negative. That's going to tell the scanner that it's not scanning a photograph, it's scanning a negative, and so it needs to put light from the top through the negative into the scanner bed.
First time you log on to any computer on campus, it takes a while because it loads preferences and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So it's set to 300 DPI right now. It'll go all the way up to 12,800, all right? And this is how file sizes and data works. Twice the file size, twice the resolution, 4 times the amount of data. It increases by the square, okay? Also, the amount of time increases exponentially. So the data increases, but because the data is increasing by the square and having to be held in the RAM, the random access memory, right? It's not being written to the hard drive yet because you haven't saved the file. The more data you hold in RAM, the slower it goes. So twice the resolution, 4 times the amount of data, 8 to 16 times the amount of time to scan every time you go up a notch. So you understand that, like, if we go up to 12,800, it's gonna sit here and go, instead of going, it's gonna sit there and just go. Okay, just so you know. We probably the most we're ever gonna do is, I think 1600, unless Marina, you make like photograph, and we gotta like go in at 2400 because we're gonna print it out like really effing big. Okay. All right, so we're gonna put it in here. For now, you can scan in lots of different formats. And for our friends in the digital photography class, they might be using RAW. Okay, we're gonna stick with JPEG just because it's so goddamn versatile. Okay, it's really editable. It's openable. It's easy to move around. You can share it with your grandma. Your grandma wants to know what you're doing at college anyway. Send her one of your black and white photos. So there is TIFF, which is a really good lossless file size, and there is PDF, and you guys all know that I'm a fan of PDF, but for now, JPEG. So we're gonna set that up. And then you wanna set your file name, and you can set this to incrementally move a little bit. So as you're setting up your file name, a couple things that are important to put on your file name. What is the file name? What is the file name rule of thumb for this class? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's like the date, your last name, the description.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. It's the date, last name, first name, and then the description. And
There you go.
And, well, PDF.
Boom. And it's year, month, day. So today is the what of January? 29th. So it would be 24/01/29. Part Andrew. Don't know your last name, Emily. First roll of film, or whatever you want to describe it as. But that way, even when you're looking at the file name, even if it's gotten displaced on the folder, or if it's lost on the desktop, we can look it up. Okay. All right, last part of the tutorial, we're gonna use Haley to, oh no, can I reverse this?
I can't stand when they don't let me do that.
No! All right, this is Haley. She's loading up her stuff right now. We're gonna close it down. All right, and then we're on the Epson information right here.